Hey everyone, this is just a short video explaining the ITC scoring and terrain rules that we'll probably be using in our upcoming 40k league that some of you are interested in. Before that though, I want to go through some small quality of life changes that will make it easier for people who maybe didn't want the commitment of the last tournament or campaign, and make it easier for everyone to play the games they want to play and have no pressure to play games they don't want to play. Firstly, custom characters are out, as is any obligation to play a specific faction that you choose at the start of the campaign or league. You can change faction every week if you want. I really don't care, just as long as you're having fun. This will hopefully reduce any of the bookkeeping or faction fatigue that some people might be feeling. Secondly, while you can play a maximum of 6 matches a month, there's no obligation to do so. Your league score for the month will be based off your top 3 games played out of 6 eligible, but I can easily calculate the score off of a single match, if needed. The games and matchings will also be sorted out between the individual players, and I'm not going to force anyone to play anyone else they don't want to. I only ask that you try and play everyone to give everyone a chance to have fun, but I'm not going to force anyone to do that. If you want to stick with the same few people, that's totally fine with me. 6 individual maps will be provided at the start of each month for whoever wants to play on. The players are free to choose whichever map they want between them, and all the missions and deployment zones are handily set up already in game, so it's just a matter of loading up the map and carrying on from there. It's super simple. You don't need to come to me for a mission or points or anything. The deployment and the deployment zones and how people deploy their armies have had a bit of a revamp. Both players roll off at the start of the game after the mission has been randomly chosen, and the winner of that roll off chooses the deployment type, as in the deployment what zones there are, and they also choose which side they want to play on. The person who did not win the roll-off gets to choose if they would want to deploy first or second. Okay, so the person who is chosen to deploy first deploys their entire army, and then the next person deploys their entire army after. This has been used to cut down the time waiting for people to deploy in the ITC format, and we're going to try it out here. Hopefully there's still an advantage to deploying first and deploying second there, because if you're the first to deploy, you still get your +1 roll for first turn or second turn. Okay, so now we're going on to the meat of this video, the ITC scoring system. Now, ITC scoring is a bit different from the traditional missions we've been playing, and they really allow for much more customization on what your objectives are in the game you're playing, and that's in relation to what your opponent is doing as well, and your opponent's army and your own army. So you can really customize what you want to do in that match down to a really good level. So let's get on to primary objectives. There's 4 primary ways to score points in ITC. Kill a unit, which is 1 point. Hold an objective, 1 point. Kill more units than your opponent did that battle round, 1 point. Hold more than your opponent does that battle round, 1 point. These can each be scored maximum of once per battle round, calculating the totals at the end of the entire battle round. So you can get a maximum of 4 primary points each turn just through these primary scoring. So for example, say I'm fighting Carb, and Carb kills 4 of my units and holds 2 objectives. I, on the other hand, I only killed 1 unit, and I hold 2 points, same as him. So when it comes to scoring, Carb has killed a unit, he's killed more units than I have, and he holds an objective. He gets 3 points. I have killed a unit, and I hold 1 objective, so I only get 2 points. I didn't hold more than him, I held the same, and I didn't kill more than him. So I only get 2, he gets 3. So this is where the customization comes in, secondary objectives. And this is where ITC really shines. This is why it's adopted all over the world, and thousands of people play ITC tournaments every week. Once both armies have been deployed, the players choose 3 secondary objectives that grant a maximum of 4 points each. I won't list them all in the video. I'll do a separate link with the list there. But they range from things like Reaper, which is every 20 models you destroy, you get 1 point, which is great versus Horde armies. Recon, if you have a unit in every table quarter, which is good for mobile armies because you can scoot about. And Headhunter, so you get 1 point for every enemy character destroyed, which is great against those like Psyker heavy armies and armies with a lot of support characters. All in all, there's 15 different secondary objectives to choose from, and that can give you a little edge over your opponent depending on the list they've brought, what the objective setup is in the game, what you want to do. So there's really a lot of customization. And note the old classic ways to score points like First Strike, Slay the Warlord, Line Breaker have all been rolled into a secondary objective called Old School. So you can still take that if you're stuck on specific things to do. Now this might seem like a lot of bookkeeping, like keeping track of points and stuff in game, and you know, how do I calculate all this without a giant notepad going alongside the game? But I found a handy tool that will lighten the load immensely. Let's have a look at that in game right now. Okay guys, this is me in Tabletop Simulator. The audio quality might be a bit different because I'm recording in OBS now. Let's have a look at this handy tool I found. So, this is the handy sheet tool that I found. So you can see it's got battle round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ignore 6. The standard is 6 rounds, but we're just going to go 5 rounds to cut down on time. And then you've got this secondary tab down at the bottom here for player 1, player 2. And you know, this automatically totals up your scores. So if you hover over this, it says kill 1, hold 1, bonus, just ignore that. Kill more, hold more. So these 4 squares are your primary objectives. If I say I killed a unit, I hold a zone, and I killed more, but I didn't hold more. So that's 3 points for that turn from primaries. And then down here you see my totals. And I'll say I'm playing Tigrex, because I like to play Tigrex. And he's killed, and he holds more, so he's got 3 as well. So that's how the check boxes work for this primary objectives, which continue on this whole section here. So like round 2 I did the same, Tigrex did the same, and then round 3 I managed to kill, but I didn't hold or kill more. Tigrex killed more, and then he held more. And then the next turn was a bit more of a swing. I killed more. He didn't hold more anymore. You know, continues on like that until you get to battle round 5, and you know, you do that. Whatever. See, actually, I made a mistake there. I did hold more on both of us, and it can only do it on one. So there's not going to be no mistakes there. It automatically just takes that out. So if we go down to the secondaries, this is where people might get confused. So your secondaries, you can only score a maximum of 4 points per secondary in the whole game. You might think, oh, how do I put in the secondaries and remember them? So this thing has a handy tool. It has the secondaries already slotted in here, all of them. And if you hover over them, it tells you exactly what secondary it is and what it does. So how you gain those points. So Headhunter, 1 point for enemy character that is destroyed. Perfect. You know, I killed 3 of his Psykers. 3 points. The other one, Tigrex plays Orcs now, I think, where he's going to. So I would go for Reaper. No, I have to go all the way around again because I'm an idiot. Reaper. So for every 20 models destroyed, I earn 1 point. So say I max that out because he went full boys. And then the last one, probably I would pick Old School, which is the Old School is the the one I was talking about, which is first strike, slay the warlord, line breaker, last strike. So the old way to earn points, and you get 1 point for each of those. And say I got first strike and I got probably last strike. I'm not going to get slay the warlord or line breaker against orcs probably. Now Tigrex does exactly the same. He probably would pick probably Kingslayer, probably Headhunt. Actually, it doesn't stack with that, so you can't take them too. Oh no, it does. You just can't use it on the same thing. So he took Headhunter, and he would probably take Titan Slayers, which is for every 8 wounds with a Titanic unit. So if I took Knights, he would take Titan Slayer, and you know, if he killed that Knight, he could get 4 points straight off that. Headhunter, he got 2, whatever, and then Kingslayer, he got 2 or 3. Kingslayer, 1 point for every 2 wounds. Yeah, so he killed my Warlord, he gets 4 points. That's what Kingslayer is basically, but it's gradual. Headhunter, he killed 2 of my characters that weren't my Warlord. So you see, at the end of the game, the total scores are all tallied up. And this is a super important part, because you need to relay these totaled up scores to me, because it's not your win-loss ratio that goes into the league. It's your points at the end of the game. Your win-loss ratio will come into it if there's a tie, but these scores are vital, and that means that even if you're losing in points, it's always better to try and lose as less as you can, because it gets you more points, gets your enemy less points, and that helps you more in the long run with your league standings. And that's if you care about that sort of stuff. If you do concede the game before turn 3, the enemy instantly gets 32 points and you get 0 points. That's the way it happens, unfortunately. So yeah, let's have a quick look at these other tools while we're here. This is one of the ITC maps we'll be playing on. It's a nice little symmetrical map. You got all your normal tools here. Just ignore this, and we'll just take all those decks back in with recall. But if we look up here, we can see all the deployment zones ready to go. You just need to roll a dice, and it's good to go. And here are the ITC missions. So if you roll a dice at the start of the game to choose a random mission, and then say I got a 2, I would press 2, and then it would automatically put the objective there, and then give me and Tigrex our objectives to put on the map where we see fit. So we place recall there. Let's look at Nexus control. Place that one. Automatically puts the 4 objectives down. You don't need to do any work putting the objectives down there. Recall. Okay, so super easy. Place. Put 2 objective downs for this one. Super easy. Okay. You don't really need to do any of this anymore, except for maybe the turn order and the command points. You can ignore the victory points. We don't need that anymore. Rulers, don't need to use that. I don't mind that. Some of the other maps might have extra tools around this area. You don't need to use it if you don't want to. It's just mainly psychic powers and stratagems. So don't feel pressure into using that. The main thing is getting an understanding of this box, and it's super easy. It's just like an interactive checkbox, and you can see what every single one of the secondary objectives are right here. It's super intuitive. Takes maybe a little bit of getting used to. Every time you finish your turn, make sure you're like, oh, I definitely killed one thing there. I held a thing. Make a little quick note of how many units you did kill. And at the end of the battle round, you'll be like, okay, Tigrex, how many units did you kill? You're like, oh, I killed 2, and I killed 4. And you're like, okay. Look at the objectives and see who has the most objectives. So that's the basic overview of this lovely tool and our ITC tools here, and the new lovely ITC maps. And I've got 6 maps already lined up to go. Probably if I upload this on Friday the 21st, probably good to go on Monday the 24th. If people are interested. I don't know how many people are. I stop rambling. I'm gonna switch back to good audio quality Glarg to finish off the rest of this with some other facts and stuff. It's not gonna take long. So that's ITC scoring, folks. It is simple when you know what you're doing. and the tool makes it a lot easier. So I'll just close out here with a couple of extra things. Things that we should get cleared up before. Games will always be played at 2,000 points and 5 battle rounds. This means you can get your absolute max points of 32 points per game. League scoring is not dependent on the win-loss ratio of your games, so always report your scores at the end of your game. So even if you lose, a close game matters. So hopefully people will try and fight their hardest, not give up halfway into the game, which hasn't been a problem, but like it could be. And one other thing is terrain rules. So I've been pretty lax with the terrain rules in the last games where, can I shoot through this and is that cover? And just want to clear that up and bring it to the ITC standard. And in ITC, the bottom level, so the ground floor of any ruined structure, so a ruined structure or building, not walls or craters or stuff like that. These ruined structures, the bottom floor is considered to be line of sight blocking, even if it isn't actually in-game. So even if it's got a stained glass window and you can see a guy through it, the bottom floor is always line of sight blocking, and that goes both ways. So the people hiding behind the wall and the people outside the wall. You can still do melee attacks from outside the wall, because in 40k you can phase through solid walls if you're in melee. But if there is some confusion over a piece of terrain, because some things look like ruins and some things don't, just clarify with your opponent before the game starts, or when the problem happens. Just try and have a civil conversation about, do you think this is ruins? Does it constitute a ruined building? And is it line of sight blocking on the ground floor? Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope it doesn't sound too daunting, and I hope this hasn't been too long, and I hope the explanation's been good. Hopefully this will just be a little bit more casual, but with clearer guidelines on how to play the game and a more fair way of winning games, or trying to win games. This is all about trying to create ways for you to be more interactive with your victory, instead of just, I'm going to shoot him until he dies, I'm going to shoot him until he dies and stand on this point. You have to choose who you want to shoot, why you want to shoot them, how much you want to shoot them. It all adds up in ITC, and I hope that conveys to you guys in a way that makes sense. So thanks for all for listening. If you are interested, I don't know, leave me a message or something. I don't care. I don't mind how many people are playing, but I will start running the league as of next week, whether people want to play or not, even if it's just, me, Direwolf, Lico, and Tigrex, or if other people want to, but it is more casual. So if you just want to play one game a month in this format on maps I've made, that's fine. I'll still add you in the league and you'll have a place there. I really don't mind at all. I just want more people to be able to play, because it's fun. So again, thank you for watching and listening and taking time out of your day to learn some obscure rules for Warhammer 40k. And I hope to see you in the thread or game playing and enjoying yourselves, because that's all I want. Cool. Glog out.